With over 15,000 tools available, selecting the right MarTech can be challenging. Meet the MarTech Intelligence Report's free buyer's guides, exploring specific platforms including purchase considerations, leading players, adoption trends, and more. No matter where you are in the purchase journey, MarTech Intelligence Reports can help.
Wow, that sound bed, that's something. Welcome everyone to Reinventing Your Personalization and Orchestration with AI. I'm Scott Gillum, CEO of Carbon Design. I'll be your host today, and I'm happy to share the virtual platform here with my guest today, including Brian McKinnon. Brian is VP of CRM at DMI Partners. Nathaniel Rounds is Lead Product Marketing Manager at Braze, and Sarah Larson, Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Wolters Kluwer. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks.
So glad to have you here today. A couple of things I just want to ask, remind everyone, if you have questions or comments, please add them into the Q&A. We'll monitor that. We'll try to incorporate it into the discussion today. If we don't get to that, we have 10 minutes at the end for Q&A, so we'll get it at that point. But love to have this be very interactive, so please share your questions and your comments, and we'll go integrate that into the conversation. So first, I'm going to ask a question, and then we're going to get to some polling to get a little bit of a flavor for the audience that we have today. So the first question, and Sarah, I'm going to have you start us off, is how are you defining personalization, and why are you using AI to enable it at Wolters Kluwer?
Great question, Scott. And Scott, thanks for having me, as well as the MarTech team. Great to be here on this topic. So I think it's great that we're starting with what is the definition of personalization, because not to be punny, but it can be personal. People are using it it could be using it differently in different organizations. I can tell you within Wolters Kluwer how we think about personalization, and it's really how we are tying our value message very specific to a buyer or a buyer audience or even users. And so it's really what's the message of value to a specific role that we're trying to reach with our marketing and communication efforts. And that definition is really, why we started using AI to help us, because it's really a tool that helps us do a couple of things when you think about personalization or trying to communicate value. One, we all know that the buying committees have gotten much bigger. In the healthcare space where I am, within Wolters Kluwer Health, the buying committees have evolved with more of an IT flavor tied in with clinical. And so we have what we call our non-clinical buyers and our clinical buyers. And so we really have to think about value and how we communicate that uniquely to those roles. And it's not even just, clinical and non-clinical. There can be clinical leadership, there can be nursing leadership, there can be librarians, there can be IT. There's a lot of different roles that we have to communicate value. So that's sort of one way IT helps us. And I can talk later about all the different ways that we're using AI to help us with that. The second is, as you think about your product, our products have evolved to meet more than just one segment. So we meet the needs of large hospital systems and hospital systems. We also now are starting to meet the needs of digital health tech organizations, life sciences companies, retail pharmacies, PBMs, audiences in international arena, including governments and ministries of health. And so how do you take your core message and deliver that through a value lens that's personal to those audiences? And so that's been another area where AI has been very helpful to us to help us scale from kind of beginning to end.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Brian and Nathaniel, you're working with clients on behalf of clients, executing programs. I'm going to start with you, Brian. How do you define personalization, and how are you using AI to enable it?
Yeah, perfect. And at DMI, we have a bit of a mantra that we like to speak of for our clients is we want them to be sending the right message to the right person at the right time. So really, we try and think of like each of those different elements and personalize all of those experiences, really moving beyond just featuring content that is really, first name or information about their loyalty points and much more really thinking, okay, this is the right message to be sending to this person today because they recently were engaging with the site, and this is a good follow up to send to them. So really thinking of through all those different elements and delivering on personalization through that. And then AI, really at the end of the day, it really just takes a lot of our like personalized experiences and being able to extrapolate it and be more impactful and be delivering more key decisions and putting more information into delivering on that personalization.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Nathaniel, same question to you.
Yeah, I would say my answer is probably pretty close to Brian's. So we Braze is a customer engagement platform that brands use to communicate with our customers. And to your point, Brian, about right message, right place, right time. What it really boils down to for most of our clients is if they send a communication to a customer, which they can do with Braze, whether that's a push notification or a content card or something in their app when the customer logs in, right? Is that relevant to the customer? Are they going to click on it? Are they going to open it? Is it going to meet some need? Is it going to give value to their customer when they interact with it? And yeah, well, a slogan we had one time was "First name is a personalization," right? Like not just using their first name, but really leveraging all the data that the brand has about their customer, all that zero and first party data that we voluntarily choose to share with the brands, and in return hopefully they're using that data to give us experiences that are relevant to us. So part of it is using all of that data, and then yeah, what is the most important thing to be talking to each customer about, and at what time, through what channel. And as far as AI, there are lots of different tools. I'm sure we're going to get into them perhaps in some more detail, but probably a key one is AI decisioning. I actually came to Braze by way of OfferFit, which was an AI decisioning startup. So that's using reinforcement learning to really solve this problem of figuring out what is the best way to be communicating with each customer based on all the data that you have.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Speaking of communicating with customers, Sarah, you mentioned a broad customer base. Where are you finding sweet spots? Where do you find that you're really getting the return and really getting the payoff from utilizing AI?
I think it's in pockets, and there's a lot of different ways to measure what return looks like, right? We can look at what's return on time, which is probably the variable that is common in any industry to anyone. We all have the same amount of time every day, 24 hours. And so, where is AI helping us from a time to market, time savings on resourcing, and time saving on cycle times or decisions? So that's probably one way to kind of look at AI, where I look at that across multiple types of tasks. I know there's a whole discussion out there about these magical agents that are going to take over marketing for us. Where I'm not there. We're not there. I don't think anyone's there. So if you're not there, don't worry about it. You'll get there. But where I do kind of look at is, where is there a task where there's a dependency on information that might be upstream or downstream, and to bring that information to the point of the task. So for example, looking at message testing, how can I take content and information from maybe people that are doing demos with customers today? How can I capture that information and bring it into the AI machine and test messages against that, so that I don't have to independently go and do message testing? How do I share that message testing and information with our copywriters so that they have that insight and they can be using the same data set? And so I think it's those sort of at a task level is where we're at today. I have a lot of examples of that, but that's just sort of one of them. And in time to market is probably the area we're seeing very effective use of AI.
I really like that scaling insights, like finding these sweet spots in the organization that people knew about, but it was kind of isolated, getting that more broadly communicated across the organization to be able to put that into play. Love that. Nathaniel, where are you seeing sweet spots for AI?
I think there are a lot of different use cases and different types of AI appropriate to those use cases. To just build on the previous answer, sometimes you think about efficiency metrics versus efficacy metrics. So efficiency might be around ways that AI tools are changing how marketers do their work, changing the experience of being a marketer. And as yes, we're all hearing about agents, but there are some things that our customers are already putting into practice. People think of content generation, but there are other applications that are, I think, pretty natural. One is like data standardization. Like maybe we've all had very frustrating experience with less capable chatbots in the past because maybe they didn't know how to understand our natural language responses. So having an agent that can understand a natural language response, like, would you like your next order to be in a different size, being able to match that to an item in a product catalog, where
Yeah.
maybe that product catalog is some kind of database that doesn't really talk natural language. These new agentic large language model tools can be really effective there. And I would say that's on the efficiency side of really making the marketer's job easier. And then on the efficacy side, that's where we might be using things like reinforcement learning agents, where you're trying to drive some business value. So that gets back to my point about relevancy, whether you're trying to drive, customer lifetime value, or, return on your campaign, or whatever it might be. If you're delivering a more relevant message that is offering value to the customer, well, then they might click on it, they might convert, they might
Right.
upsell to a higher value purchase. They might have a longer relationship with your brand rather than cancel. So that's you giving your customer a better, more relevant experience in a way that impacts really your bottom line financial metrics.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are looking for that. Brian, what are your thoughts? Sweet spots.
Yeah, I think there's certainly opportunities where we've been able to, bring some efficiencies to different work. But I think really where we've seen the value is much more in the ability to, deliver a better result on our clients' behalf, and where a lot of that has come in terms of, computing power has been like we can build very unique promotions into our platform because it can quickly compute across, purchasing behavior, loading and purchase behavior, tying that back to a subscriber, and then build in like custom promos based off of what we've seen within those results. So I think it's just taking a lot of our efforts and taking it to another level of scale.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. I'm going to start this question with you, Nathaniel. There's a lot of information, a lot of signals coming into companies. How are you seeing or using AI to really sort through, find the real signals, and apply that to creating better, more personalized and relevant experiences?
Yeah, great question. One thing that I've seen consistently across my career and across different types of AI, different applications of AI, is the AI is only as good as the data.
Yeah.
Garbage in, garbage out. We had an internal exercise recently to try and make better use of LLMs for our own efficiency, right? Because we're marketers too. And things like some of the publicly available models like GPT, Gemini, etc. And all of the challenge was getting them to like understand the spreadsheet you were giving them, right? Like it's all about the data actually. And so when we talk about AI decisioning implementations at large enterprises that we're providing to our clients, what we've found is you really need the expert services. In other words, getting your AI data ready is maybe one of the most crucial things to getting value from the AI that you're using. And that could mean things like data engineering, data cleaning, data validation. On the other end, interpretability, what kind of reporting insights capability. If the AI agents have made decisions, what do those decisions mean? I think all of those things are perhaps harder to get right than the AI technology itself.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Brian, are you able to get through all the noise and find, some signals that you can use?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. Definitely reiterate everything that Nathaniel said there, and maybe to give a good real time example, we have a client that's in the travel space that does a ton of work trying to figure out like what is the right blend of promotions to drive bookings, and so for them, they have a ton of real time engagement data that they're constantly trying to marry back to customer engagement and then purchasing history, and so that has proven to be a really valuable way that we've been able to leverage AI for them. We went to market with an AI model that basically is taking in all those different signals. How should the offer be displayed? Is it better to do it as a dollar amount versus percent off? Is it on a per person basis? Is it the lowest price, save X amount? There's a bunch of different ways to present the model that could be different on an individual basis. And then tying all of that data back to, what is availability? What are the tiers? How many people are going to be staying? A lot of different factors that are unique to each brand. There's a lot of different things to consider there. And that's where we've seen like an AI model be able to really put together a really compelling use case. And for them, it's a little bit early in the process, but we have seen, I think, like a 6% increase in conversions, which is monumental for them. But then obviously the other piece is they're trying to give away as little discounts as they need to really move the needle. And so that increase was also tied to, I think, like a 20% decrease in how much promotions they're offering to secure those conversions. So.
I
Yeah.
want to just follow on to that if I could, because we've seen exactly the same thing. That is one area where AI experimentation can drive a lot of value in travel, for example, on other cases like subscription businesses and cancellations, where things like how you word the discount, percentage of dollar amount, how many months. We've all done the thing where you go to cancel and you get, but just have $10 off for 6 months if you click. You're just giving away a lot of margin when you do that. And there's might be some really high value accounts where you need to do that, but there might be a bunch where you don't. So having AI be able to experiment and find those little pockets of value can drive a huge amount of value for a business.
Yeah. Sarah, I want to get to you. I know it's more complex in your industry. It's more complex in a B2B environment, but are you finding ways to be able to utilize the insights coming in from all the different signals that you're getting through AI, being able to sort through that data?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think, it is a little bit more difficult because when you think in B2B, you've got to go through kind of, layers of multiple roles. So back to my definition of personalization, which is really our message of value to an individual, we are getting much better at being able to see if that message is both reaching that individual role and if they're engaging. And so that's very important. In the past, we've had to rely on sales. Hey, did the, CMIO, do you think they saw our marketing message? Did it resonate? Now we can actually see through more of an account-based, personalized set of technology if CIOs or CMIOs are engaging at certain types of accounts. And if they are, at what level and what message is working, which messages might not be working. And so that's very helpful when our goal is really to reach and engage roles to ensure that our sales teams can go in and be effective in their selling motion.
Yeah. So this line of questions and comments coming back made me think, it's time for the poll. Let's pull up the polling and it's really find out where the audience is in terms of this spectrum of, integrating AI, whether it's generative or predictive or agentic. But really, if we can pull the poll up and then let's ask people to rate themselves in terms of where they think they are in terms of using AI for personalization. So are we advanced? Are we still experimenting and learning, or are we just kind of at the beginning of this road? So if you'll click into that, it should bring up a box for you to enter your name in the upper right-hand side. And then you can enter in your name and click on the polling icon that should pop up. And enter your answer.
I hope we're capturing all the people that say advanced because I want to call them and find out what they're doing. We're definitely in the learning stage.
I don't even know how you're able to keep up, how fast everything's moving. I don't even understand how you could be in the advanced category. It's moving so fast, and every day is different. And I got to, same thing that we have in terms of the panel. We have B2B and we have B2C. And so things move at different paces in those two environments, as we all know. And it moves at a different pace in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's interesting though, Scott. I just saw a report that actually healthcare has been known to be very slow at tech adoption, and AI is actually making them almost faster than other industries right now. So I guess it's a hurry up and catch up situation.
Well, talk about huge data sets and where you can use some great help. And that's a great comment, sir, because it's been so long where people really struggle, but maybe this is a opportunity to be able to solve some of the historical issues that have plagued healthcare in terms of being able to do more with their data. Okay, really cool. Most of the audience right in the middle, which is great. We have some advanced people. Maybe we get some names for Sarah, and a few in the basic category. So welcome to everyone, and feel free to answer questions. Okay, let's move on. This time I'm going to start with you, Brian. We talked about some of the issues around getting the data right and having it in the proper manner that we can use it to train our machines. And so any tips about how to help organizations prepare for this, especially for those people who are at the very beginning? Like, how do we get our data right so we can take full advantage of the tools that are available?
Yep, and I think what Nathaniel said is really consistent with what we say all the time. Is bad data in, bad data out. So I think that's been a mantra that we kind of preach as well. And so I think where we start for our clients is if we do very much take like a crawl, walk, run approach to this. And in terms of like crawling, what we typically find is that there is some set of data that we feel good about, that we feel both the accuracy and the availability of it, obviously two core components there. And oftentimes for our clients that are in the B2C side, that typically is like purchase data. So we know we've got good data in terms of like, what purchases are, that's good data that it's like reliably we can build off of. And then the other piece, and certainly as like an email marketer lens, we tend to have pretty good data that we can leverage from like an email engagement. So what types of content are people engaging with? How often are they engaging with email? Sometimes as much of like what time of day are they opening, clicking, what types of content are they opening and clicking, and either one or with both of those, we kind of have a good data set to then start with, like thinking through how can we bring that to an AI model to learn more. And sometimes that crawl walk run approach is just starting with, okay, let's build segments off of this that are most likely to engage with certain emails. What is the right time of day to be sending these messages? Can I build a send time optimization approach to my emails? And then from there, kind of layering it to like a little bit more, what's aspirational? What's the data we want to go out and get? Can we build processes to be progressively profiling our audience, either via email or other channels? And then from there, okay, what's going to be the really difficult data? What's the stuff that we know is going to require our tech team, which no one wants to do, to start pulling in, offline data or website engagement data, that type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I see Nathaniel nodding his head. I want to get to you in a second, but I want to go to Sarah because I'm really curious about, have you run into any regulatory or compliance issues as you've gone down this path?
Well, in the marketing domain, no. We are using sort of the tools that are in the marketplace. As a larger organization, we do have a lot of internal governance around AI and what we can and can't use and how we can approve tools. So there's a little bit of that going on. But more broadly in the industry for healthcare, I think there's a lot of discussion going on. And at what point does AI become a medical device, right? Instead of it being just an advice and support tool to being actually making decisions and helping drive decisions, which is really kind of the line around med device. There's a lot of what I call shadow AI in organizations where, you might have unregulated AI in organizations. And so we're talking to a lot of our customers about that, and I'm sure that's happening across many industries. And so I do think we're in kind of the early days, the wild west, as one would say, and there will be probably more regulation over time. I do think each industry is looking at it differently. In healthcare, there are different governing bodies that we are working with around those standards. But, with anything, how do you get everyone to agree to a standard is a bit tricky. And so, we're in the thick of it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Nathaniel, I'll go to you for your final thoughts on this question.
Yeah, I was just resonating with Brian's idea of crawl, walk, run, and I wanted to maybe give another angle on it, which is if you're a leader at a business where you really want to be doing more with AI, whether that's you think you can internal build, whether it's partnering with someone like us, often you can get the buy-in, the resources, the budget you need. The realistic way is start small, do something that gets a quick win, that everybody can see that there's real business value here and that's just not a bunch of hype. And if you do that, like have a long-term plan, but if you can do something as a champion within your organization that delivers value right away, it's going to be a lot easier to get other stakeholders on board and excited about what you're trying to do with AI.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's stay with you for this next question, Nathaniel. Getting the data in the right place, in the right shape to be useful is one thing. Part of the problem is the multi-channel of where you're meeting the customer and where the data is coming in from. So, your thoughts around cross-channel utilization of AI, or ways that we can help, filter right at the very beginning of that customer journey.
Yeah, absolutely. That's historically been a strength of Braze long before kind of AI became the thing we were all talking about every day in terms of real-time cross-channel interaction and really abstracting for the marketer the channel that a message might be delivered on. So I think that um, that really is a framework that then allows AI to have an impact. In other words, if you have infrastructure where it's easy for you as a marketer to say, okay, at this step in my communication, we're going to experiment with channel. We might try text, we might try email. Learn and remember what works best for every customer. When you have that kind of infrastructure, and perhaps you were using manual experimentation to A/B testing whatever it was, well, now if you have some kind of reinforcement learning agent there instead, sort of the tools to actually activate are there. And frankly, that's why I mentioned I came from an AI startup. That was sort of the business reason for those companies to come together. Is on the one hand, you want to use AI to try and experiment and make decisions, but yeah, that's only any right if the AI says deliver this to this customer by a text at 3:04 p.m. and then whatever system you're using isn't able to actually send it and they get it, at 9 p.m. Well, it kind of doesn't matter if your AI made a good decision. So there's
Right.
absolutely a need to execute and activate cross channel. And yeah, that depends, of course, on your tools and systems to be able to do that.
Sure. Yeah, Sarah, I see you nodding your head. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think that one of the things I kind of think about is, if you're in any role that you're in, just personally be doing something every day that somehow you're touching AI, and you'll start to learn where that works in your workflow. That'll start to model for people around you. Sort of like use AI every day, and that could be a personal scenario. That could be in your work life, but that's really the advice that I give folks is just dive in. We're talking about crawl, walk, run. I don't think there's a crawl and a walk. I think right now AI is a run, and
Yeah.
everyone runs at a different pace. I can guarantee you I'm a lot slower than most people. However, you got to be running because it is moving very fast, and you just have to dive in and try it.
Yeah, for sure. Brian, what are your thoughts on multi-channel, cross-channel utilization?
Yeah, and I think I obviously bring a email marketer's lens to the everything, but I think what we've seen is that it really does need to be like a across the board approach. And so I think what we've seen is some of that is using the example of the different promotion strategy that really needs to be reinforced when they're on site. If they're receiving text messages, if they're receiving push notifications, all that needs to be consistent, not only from a like trying to get the people to convert the best, but it's also a situation where you could create a lot of problems if people are seeing other people get different discounts than you are, and then you're creating a whole customer service nightmare for yourself. And so really like thinking through making sure that you are set up to be able to deliver on that experience across all the channels.
Yeah, yeah. Sarah started this conversation, so I'm going to come back to it, and this will be our final question, and then we'll get into Q&A. But I'm going to stick with you, Brian. Just getting started for that audience that said there at the very beginning, and they want to start doing something. As Sarah said, just do something every day, whether it's on your personal side or the professional side. But if we really want to what are some of the tips of getting started inside the organization where you feel like there's going to be an impact and people are going to see the value of putting their time against it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we find, and I'm going to bring an email marketing lens to this, but oftentimes our clients might have tools at their disposal that they don't even know are leveraging AI, and typically I would recommend starting with those. So you don't need to necessarily bring in any new technical platforms. Good examples of this are our clients might be leveraging send time optimization models, audience creation buckets. Those are all things that you can experiment with, oftentimes in a way that you're really not impacting anything potentially negatively. Start seeing the impact, measure it. And then another good example is for our clients where they do have like a large number of products. Similarly, there's tools that they can leverage around like product feeds and building in, you may also like models and pulling that in. And then as you're doing that, there's a ton of learnings that you'll bring to like, okay, let's start getting to the next phase where I might need to be rethinking, okay, how can we build more AI models to layer into our tech stack?
Yeah, it's a really good point. And we were talking recently about the amount of predictive AI that was in BI tools, and people are like using it was just called something different, but it was predictive AI, and it's been around for a while. Nathaniel, what are your thoughts on getting started?
So I've just your thought about predictive AI made me think of a client of ours where somehow the CEO of his company had heard that he was the one who was doing the most with AI, and the CEO came and found him and said, "Yeah, so what are you doing?" And he showed him, "Oh yeah, we've got all these models. We've got churn prediction, conversion prediction. We're working with Braze on AI decisioning, and here's what it's doing in this campaign." And the CEO said, "No, no, I mean real AI." Because he wanted to see, ChatGPT or something. So that is, I think, a great call out that the world of AI is bigger than ChatGPT, and probably you and your tools and your organization are leveraging it at things, even if um, you may not be thinking of them as AI. And then to in terms of what to do every day and perhaps to use some of these newer things like ChatGPT, I would say like what's the most annoying part of your day? What's something that you wish you didn't have to do? Maybe there's something that you're the expert on and people ask you questions and you get a Slack every 5 minutes. You have to stop what you're doing and say, oh, here's where that resource is. Could you make a notebook LLM or something, upload a bunch of docs so that people can just ask it and it can find the resource. I mean, I don't know what the most annoying part of your day is, but if you think about it, there's might be a way that an AI can automate it, and that might sort of motivate you because you'd really be saving yourself time to going back to Sarah's point of we all have the same number of hours in a day.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask one last thing because we have 1 or 2 minutes here in this short answer. And I'll start with Sarah. Any recommendations, suggestions of a book or website or someone to follow that you found to be valuable in providing insight into helping you with AI?
Oh, there's a lot out there. I'll give you two quick ones. One, I do enjoy the Marketing AI Institute. I think they've done a really good job of defining AI for the marketing industry. And the second, kind of keying off of the other comments here, is talk to your vendors. They are investing in AI and probably at a pace that they never have thought they would. Talk to them about where their roadmaps are going, what tools they have, and how they can help you better use the tools. Because trust me, they will love to have those conversations.
Great answer. Brian.
Yeah, I was gonna say same similarly. Like I get so much of my learning from like our clients, even just like in terms of like where their pain points are and things that they're playing around with. So I think that's where I've generally learned a ton. Yeah, on my side.
Okay. Nathaniel.
I would actually say so. First of all, Sarah, to your point, your vendors, yes, we do have points of view about AI and really do want to share. And I think yeah, we also learn a lot from our customers. We have some products in beta where customers are doing things with agents. It was like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't think of doing that. So maybe just be humble and look around you and see what cool things other people are doing. And if you hear somebody saying, I'm using AI for that, just ask, oh, how'd you do that? And probably you'll learn something.
Yeah. All right. We have lots of questions. And so I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to shorten it up, but it's really about any guidelines. Did I'll start with you, Sarah. When you started to deploy this and you have your marketing team starting to use the tools, guidelines, rules, don'ts, do's, how did you frame this up that everybody could operate in an environment where you felt like it was consistent, safe, etc.?
One thing that we have done around content is we do have a tool that helps us. We use Jasper. We do have a tool that helps us for content. And so one of the kind of mandatories there is make sure that we are using common brand guidelines in the tool, common messaging from our Message Central, and so that everyone's working off the same base knowledge within the tool. And so you can train your tools, however, whatever tool you're using, you can train it on certain guidelines if you're using a generative tool for content. And so just be clear about what you're training on and make sure folks are using a common training model.
Yeah, great. Great question here from Tiffany. How is AI, and I'm going to open this up to whoever wants to answer this, but how is the way you're using personalization with AI different, or is it integrated into your ICPs or the way that you're approaching your data sets and customer segments today? Is it just enhancing? Is it different? So anybody wants to grab that question, please feel free to go.
I guess I could jump in and say that it's maybe a both and. Like there are ways of integrating AI on top of what you're already doing, something like maybe you add a manual customer lifetime value model, and you might put in a predictive model that refines that. That's really, you're not changing your process, you're just refining something with an AI model. I think there's some things that are more net new, things like AI decisioning using reinforcement learning, which is something that we do. A lot of the new agents, large language model agents, are just capable of working with natural language in a way and learning, some corpus from natural language, like, giving an agent all of your help docs and being able to answer user questions.
Yeah.
Probably that just wasn't possible before these models existed. So I would say both and.
Okay. Anyone else want to take a shot at that?
I think for B2B, using technology that has more, AI built into it has helped us take the guesswork out a little bit of
Okay.
guessing, okay, are these the right contacts at the right time, into being much more predictive and reactive to intense signals that we're seeing. So that's very much helped us in a universe of we know who our customers are. We have a very defined set of hospital systems that we sell to. And so being able to be a little bit more agile with those intense signals has helped us take the concept into reality and much further down the funnel than we perhaps have had in the past.
Yeah. Okay. We have another question here from Beatrice, I think. If you take out enterprise and you take out big companies that have these resources, any ideal data platforms that can help with personalization relevance that is maybe for smaller companies, maybe something that they can acquire online or a subscription, instead of trying to wrestle with these big solutions? Anything, fast and dirty to help get
I
the
feel
data?
that's me. I feel like I might have thrown some big names out there. Let me just address that really quick. I would love to be able to use ChatGPT for so many things. Our hands are tied on that because of some corporate guidance of having to use other tools. So I think ChatGPT actually can be an extremely useful tool for so many things in marketing. And so if you're able to use that, I would go deep. You can build personalization into your messaging. You can do deep research. There's a lot of very small, simple agents that you can build without a lot of lift. And so I would go to town on ChatGPT if I could.
Okay, good. Brian, Nathaniel, any recommendations?
Well, I feel a little bit unfair in that I work for an organization, Braze, that does sell to small and medium sized businesses. So you sort of forced me into making a plug for myself, which I feel guilty about. But I would also completely agree with the ChatGPT recommendation. $20 a month for a personal subscription, and it's to get the ChatGPT 5, which is just an incredibly powerful model that if you haven't checked it out in the last few weeks, you maybe would be surprised about everything it can do, given how fast it's moving.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. All right. We are up against the clock. I want to say thank you to everyone. It was a great, quick moving, and thank you for the audience. We got a lot of questions. I'm going to turn it over to the Martech team to figure out how those questions are all going to get addressed. But thank you very much. I assume that this will go out as a on-demand broadcast, eventually streaming at Martech. So if you were not able to make it today, or you had peers that weren't able to make it, let them know that this will be available soon. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.